Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a video where I basically go to a bunch of these thrift stores and like flea markets and stuff, and basically it's going to be a new series where I just record myself going to these and showing off the cool stuff. So some of this footage dates all the way back to January, and I am just now getting this put together just because I didn't have enough footage at the time, and now that I do, I get to put it together into a quick, short, maybe like 4 or 5 minute video for you guys to enjoy. So yeah, and I'm going to be voicing over like all this cool stuff that I find, and yeah, without further ado, let's begin. Ice on my neck, ice on my neck, ice on my wrist, bitch. I got them sick, bitch. Young nigga lit, bitch. So this is the first computer store, and basically in this little area where the computer store is, there are two of them. This is the more professional looking one, and the other one looks just like a warehouse. And this one, the prices weren't too bad, and they do have a decent selection of stuff like newer computer stuff that's as new as like an i5 6th generation, and they have old stuff that goes all the way back to the Pentium 3. And that first compact that you saw, I actually did buy. I bought it for 20 bucks, which is not that bad of a price. And then another thing that I bought here was my USB to composite video capture adapter, which I originally used to let me record VHS tapes, but now I actually use it for my capture device, and that was another $10. Again, not that bad of a price. And the second compact also interested me, however it didn't seem to be as in good of condition as the other one. And although the prices for those things were cheap, everything else there really wasn't. But yeah, let's move on to the next computer store. So the next store that I went to is basically across the street from that other store, and this place is like my dream place. They have tons of just old computers, new computers. Had a bunch of like random stuff, like a CRT still in the box. They had a bunch of DVD drives. They had one of those IBM Model M keyboards. Those are pretty cool. And then they also had a bunch of other stuff, like they had tons of power supplies, a ton of just a bunch of random cool stuff. But the only problem is that the stuff there is pretty expensive. So I asked a couple of the prices for a couple of the systems. First one I asked for was this old school, dirty looking, no name brand Pentium MMX system, and that was going for $80. And then I asked about a compact, small form factor with a Core 2 Duo, that was going for $80. And then I asked the price for a HP Pavilion that looked like it was made from around 2010, 2011, and it was about $80. So it seems like that most, if not all, of the pre-builts there cost $80, which is kind of unfortunate, especially since there's some really cool ones. I would like to have like this AST server that I don't even know where to begin on. It has a tape drive in the front of it, and I tried looking up information for it, but I can't find anything for it. And also had a bunch of cool stuff, like they had a compact 286 computer with the original monitor and keyboard and manuals. That was going for about $300. And also has other stuff like a ZX Spectrum, one of those really cheap computers from the not early, but mid 80s. And then they also had a Apple IIc with the original monitor, printer, and manuals, and that was going for $330. They also had some sort of Atari monitor as well, and it was just really cool. So maybe if I can negotiate well enough with them, maybe I'll eventually walk home with stuff from there. Although I did buy a couple of DVD drives from them because those were only $5 a piece. So this next store is a Goodwill store, and there wasn't really anything much at it, although this keyboard, I kind of laughed when I saw it because it is the stupidest keyboard I've ever seen. Apparently it's supposed to be for elderly people to help read the keys on the keyboard better, because it is big lettering and is very bright because the keyboard is yellow. So for $5 I just had to have it, even if it's not any good use. I could just like display it or whatever. but that kind of cracked me up when I saw it. And the other keyboards didn't even feel that great or were that interesting either. But another thing that interests me were these Zenith wooden box looking things. I'm gonna guess that these are old school radios, and they're not in the best of shape, but they were asking 20 bucks for it. And that was really it as far as electronics. I mean, there were a couple of VCRs, and there was a monitor there that I kind of missed in the beginning. But yeah, let's move on to the next store. So this is another Goodwill, and this Goodwill had a couple of interesting things. First off, there was this Roosevelt gaming keyboard that the WASD and arrow keys were actually had a rubber texture on it. So I'd never seen a keyboard like it that had rubber texture keys, and it was $6. However, I managed to get it for $4. And then the next thing was another HP keyboard, and at the time of recording I did have a computer that would go well with this keyboard. It was an HP Pavilion M7640N. However, they were asking $5 for it, and the keyboard was pretty yellowed and nasty, so I passed on it. There were a couple of other things, like a couple of square monitors for $15 each, and then there was also a Logitech MK550, one of those ergonomic keyboards, I believe, or maybe it's just regular keyboard, I'm not sure, but it came with the original box, and I think they're asking like $10 for it. And then there's also a couple of VCRs as usual, and a HP printer, which I guess I could have resold if I wanted to, but I decided to pass up on it. So about 3 months later, I finally decided to take some more footage, and this time it's a flea market that happens every weekend in my local area. So first off, there was this Smith Corona typewriter with the original case. Now most of the stuff here doesn't have any prices, so you have to first track down the owner of it and then contact them and ask them about the price. And then they had a bunch of cool stuff here. It's mainly junk, but they have some cool stuff like all of this line out train stuff, which is pretty cool to some people, although I've lost my interest in trains. And the cars were pretty expensive. It was like $20 a piece, which I don't really think is worth it. And like a individual engine was like $75 from memory. So yeah, there was this cool line out train stuff here. And then there was also I am going to apologize for my focusing, but there was this cool Sylvania, I think that's how you say it, portable CRT TV, which I would love to like take and try like in a car ride to see if it'll work. But I do apologize for the autofocus, as my camera was just not doing justice, and I was trying to keep it low so that no one would notice I was filming, but I'll try to do a better job next time. So there was a bunch of cool stuff like this General Electric TV, which I would like keep for myself if I wanted to, and I had to zoom in a part of it to try and blur out my face because no one wants to see that. But yeah, it's mainly just junk. A bunch of CRT TVs and some really cool old ones. A bunch of like speaker setups, a cool little blue CRT TV, and let's see what else there is. There was about a couple hundred different records with their original, I guess, sleeves. These might be worth some money, but I just don't care really that much about records. And again, just mainly just a bunch of junk, a bunch of CRT TVs, a bunch of appliances. And then if we go into this area over here, this was like the best area for CRT TVs, because there was just a ton of them. There's also one of these Dell keyboards that it felt alright. There were a bunch of CRT TVs, there was a couple of monitors there, and there's a bunch of like boombox stuff, a racing wheel, and then this right here, I'm kind of upset that I didn't take a closer look at it, because from a distance this almost looks like one of those portable computers that have like the built-in CRT TV in the handle, but I don't think that that's the case. But there's a couple of more CRTs, another CRT monitor, and this was just like the mother load of stuff, a bunch of cables and cords, and again those steering wheels. And then over here there's a ton of just speakers and VCRs and stereo sets. Like this guy was like, he had like a huge collection of them. More CRT TVs, and another nice speaker set over here. And I'm sorry if my voice isn't quite in sync with the video. I'm like recording my voice as I'm like playing through the video, so it's kind of hard to sync up correctly. But there was one of those black little CRT TVs. If you looked in the bottom left corner, it was there for a split second. And then next, you will not believe what I found. This is a Macintosh classic. I did not expect to find this here. It was $20 with no accessories except for the power cord, and when you powered on, it did show one of those checkerboard lines on the screen, but I didn't care at the time. This thing was so like rare to find out in public, so I just took it for 20 bucks. And I did attempt to recap the board, however that made the board even worse, so now I use that board as like soldering practice, because I definitely need that. And now I have to wait and order a brand new board when a functional board comes up on eBay, because at the moment all the boards on there are for parts are not working, and I do not want to try and recap another board. So it's been sitting on my shelf for about 2 weeks without a logic board. So this next store, I forget the name of it, but I think it was called something like Fabulous Thrifts or something like that. But it's like a Goodwill. There's just a ton of clothes everywhere. But when I went over to the electronics section, I could not believe what I found. Not only were there a bunch of monitors, a bunch of other stuff, but it had one of these Mickey Mouse monitors. So, in case you do not know, this is from a system called the Dream Desk PC, and essentially what it is a computer made by Medion, and I know most people pronounce it Median or Medion, but I pronounce it Medion, so deal with it. And basically it was a computer made by them that was like Disney themed, and at the store it had everything. It had the mouse, it had the keyboard, and it had the monitor. However, it did not have the main computer, so I'm assuming what happened is that someone dropped off the entire set, and the owners of the store just threw away the computer. But they were asking 10 bucks for the monitor and 5 bucks for the keyboard and mouse, which, if I had the system to go with it, would definitely be great, but I don't. And they had a bunch of other stuff. I had a couple of VCR players, DVD players, a couple of nice printers, and the rest of the store is mainly just junk and toys. But it would be nice to have still had the original system. Would have been in the store. It would have been nice if the original system was still in the store so I could buy the entire set. But that's about it for this Thrift Stores episode. Probably won't be another one for maybe like a month or so, just knowing how slow I am to get footage out. But yeah, I'll try to do better with my camera work next time, have it actually be in focus most of the time. But I will still try to keep my head down, or not my head, but the camera down, to make it less obvious that I am filming. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, hopefully this interests you, and I might do a similar series except with thrift stores. But yeah, I guess I will see you guys next time. I hope that this voiceover went okay.